Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. And in this episode we have so much to do. I have my notes here with me so I don't forget anything. But in the last episode I actually did forget these 13 gold pieces because the other room here is empty. And last time I just went straight to the important stuff down there. But anyway, in this episode the first order of business is to finally recruit Edwin. So let's talk to him.
Well, you have surpassed the exceedingly low expectations I had of you. You now have the trust of Mae'Var securely in hand and have proven your competence to me once more, though just barely.
Now that I'm assured of your loyalty to the cause of the moment, it seems an appropriate juncture to dispense with false pretenses. So now he's going to say that he was able to see through us and figure out that, of course, we're not here to join Mae'Var's guild, and we must have some ulterior motives. And even if we deny that, he's not going to be deterred. Also, I'm not sure if I mentioned that before, but the lines in the brackets are, of course, things that he says to himself. He's just an awesome character. Anyway, if we admit that we are here on business, he's going to say, as it happens, I know where we can find damning evidence of Mae'Var's betrayal of Rennell Bloodscalp. That is your purpose here, isn't it? Yes, I thought so. Mae'Var has been courting the Night Knives in order to bolster his own strategic position and betray Rennell. Masterfully planned, but I have seen through it. The Knives are a cutthroat guild of footpads, brigands, and highwaymen based in the congested cesspool of Westgate. Obviously they wish to expand. Mae'Var is fully aware of the penalty if the Shadow Thieves learn of his plan. It would be disastrous, both for his ambitions and his continued breathing. You'll find the proof you require in Mae'Var's quarters. I conveniently have a key that opens his strongbox. I plan to be on the winning side in this affair. So of course Edwin is playing his own game as this situation unfolds, and he's going to offer to join us. As you know well, my magical skills are supreme. So yeah, now we finally are going to be able to have Edwin with us, but I would also like to draw some attention to this bit here, because I think the developers of Baldur's Gate 2 actually made a mistake here. Because according to the Forgotten Realms lore, the Night Knives are a thieves guild from Selgaunt in Sambia. And I think who they meant here was the Night Masks, who are a criminal organization from Westgate and would fit this description way better. And also, if you remember from Baldur's Gate 1, the two assassins that Saravok hired to murder the Grand Dukes, Slithe and Kristen, were also members of the Night Masks. So, of course, I cannot say this with absolute certainty, but it's just my theory that I think they just made an honest mistake here and actually meant the Night Masks and not the Night Knives. But anyway, we can accept Edwin's offer here and finally have him in our party. So after changing his script, let's take a look. Oh, actually, we got a really low experience version of him. I thought that we would at least get the 400,000 version of him, which would give him level 11. Because right now, of course, all our other party members are far ahead of him when it comes to experience. So he's going to have some catching up to do, but it doesn't matter all that much. Anyway, he's a specialist mage, a conjurer, and as for his attributes, he has optimized constitution, because only warrior classes get HP benefits above 16 constitution, and he's also the most intelligent of the recruitable NPCs, which doesn't actually matter all that much, because we're still, of course, going to have to buff up his intelligence when we want to scribe spells with him. And his other stats are average, so at least he doesn't get any penalties to anything. When it comes to the specialist, the conjurer class, I used to think that it was the best specialist class, because the opposed school that a conjurer cannot cast spells from is divination. And that really is the best school to miss out on, because it has the least amount of useful spells, basically the most important of which is True Sight. And in Baldur's Gate 2 we have so many ways of acquiring that effect. Of course, the Divine casters have True Seeing, a very similar spell. In our party especially, we're going to, of course, have Kirinai with Detect Illusion, and also we can just have, another mage just memorize some True Sight and be done with it. And the other spells are usually like way less important and just like flavor spells. Also, he misses out on Identify, I guess, so if you wanted to do an identifying session, Edwin is not your guy to do that. But of course, that matters so little, it's just basically no concern at all. But having the knowledge of the saving throw penalties coming from the specialized school of a specialist mage The Conjurer cannot unfortunately take much of an advantage of that, because most of the conjuration spells are of course focused on summoning monsters and whatnot, and very few of them are actually targeted at someone and allow a saving throw to be made. Oh, he actually doesn't have Glitter Dust, but Glitter Dust, there are a few spells that he will be able to apply that saving throw penalty on, and Glitter Dust is a conjuration spell, so we're going to load up Edwin with some Glitter Dusts, and you know, his Glitter Dusts are going to have a better chance at succeeding and applying that blindness effect. Also, Flame Arrow is a conjuration spell, so his flame arrows are going to have a better chance of doing full damage instead of the half after a successful saving throw. But yeah, also you might have noticed that he has a lot of memorization slots here available, and that's because of his awesome family amulet. If you remember from Baldur's Gate 1, his amulet actually granted him +1 memorization slot for all spell levels, which was awesome already, especially combined with the fact that he's a specialist mage. So compared to a standard mage, he had +2 memorization slots for every single spell level, which was great already. But in Baldur's Gate 2, his amulet actually gives him 2 extra wizard spells of each level, so that is just insane. Especially when it comes to the high level spells, like level 9 for example, he's going to have in total 3 more memorization slots for like a level 9 spells compared to a standard mage like Senashira, for example, because after dual classing, of course, she is just a standard mage. So yeah, he is an amazing spellcaster. He's also a great personality. He's in general one of my favorite characters, and one of the most memorable classic characters from the Baldur's Gate saga, and it was a real shame that in Baldur's Gate 1 we couldn't really have him for longer. So I made sure to plan out my Baldur's Gate 2 party in a way so that we could keep him for much longer in Shadows of Amn. And now with him in the party, of course, we have assembled our core 5-man party now, finally, with our 2 Kensai ladies, Jaheira, Anomen, and Edwin. And of course, as I've stated many times, the 6th party member is always going to be a temporary one that's involved in the content that we're doing. Also, he has this Mae'Var's Strongbox key, which is going to be used to progress the quest line in a second. And we can also give him some thrown knives, because I think he has, dagger and quarterstaff. Alright, so now we have Edwin. Now we can progress the quest line. And also, now that we have all of our 5 core party members, I am going to get some experience now from this level, because there are plenty of these practice locks, I guess, for the thieves. Now we're going to unlock them with Kirinai and get some experience for that. And also the containers on this northeastern wall are also trapped. So we're going to disarm those in a second. And while Kirinai is detecting them, I'm going to loot these increasing amounts of gold from these ones. Right, and these containers here are going to have some more relevant goodies now. So already we have 3 more potions of Master Thievery, which are going to be very useful in a second. Potion of Perception, a Rogue Stone, already organize it a little bit. Some more gems and some thief equipment here. This is a short sword +2, buckler +1, studded leather +1. Alright, so Korgan can hold on to those. And now if you go to Mae'Var's room, we will be able to access his strongbox right here, because we have that key. And get this note.
You found the proper documents. Now you've only to gain a private discourse with Renal Bloodscalp. Yes, then the matter will be well in hand.
Well, apparently it's Renal Bloodscalp, so I've been saying it wrong the whole time, and chances are I probably am going to continue to say it wrong because of a force of habit, so excuse me on that. But anyway, now we have this evidence. A letter from Mae'Var to the Night Knives assassins requesting the death of Renal Bloodscalp. Renal Bloodscalp. And also these Boots of Stealth. I can give those to Kirinai. So what are your skills now? 80 and 35. Yes. Still terrible, but it's going to get better with time. And there's also this chest to unlock.
This will not take long, if you say so. If it must be done.
with an antidote and a pearl necklace.
Yes.
Alright, so
What is certain?
I'm also going to quickly check downstairs again, because I forgot to show a certain character here,
Direct me as you will.
named Kamuzu. Poor fellow, who is a prisoner of Mae'Var, and apparently has been for a decade. So, poor dude, but we're going to be able to rescue him soon. And he's a more relevant NPC if you are a thief and you obtain the thief stronghold here, but more on that later.
Done.
And now finally we're going to be able to get to the stealing part. Another stealing session. So I'm going to clear out Kirinai's inventory, giving some light stuff to Edwin. And I think we're going to just rearrange some stuff while we're at it. We can put these gloves on Jaheira. Yeah, and we're going to give some heavier stuff to Jaheira to utilize her 19 strength. Alright, and we're going to take out one potion of perception and all 4 of these potions of master thievery, and we're actually going to buy another potion of master thievery from Gorch. So we're going to drink the perception one first.
Welcome to my humble establishment.
And Gorch, my dude. I'm going to have one more of those. Alright, and now we have to just buff up our pickpocketing to some high levels, so that we can steal with from a couple of people with no problems at all. Yeah, drink all of it. So what's your pickpocketing? 170. Yeah, it's going to be 250 once we're finished, which is of course going to be way more than enough to comfortably steal everything we need.
Be certain.
So Gorch, my man. I'm not going to go too hardcore on stealing from him, but I am going to take that mace +2 for Animan. Maybe even that sling +2. Next we're going to get the most unique piece of equipment of his, which is the nymph cloak. We are also going to steal, I think we can just scroll all the way down. We're going to take that rogue stone, and we're going to take all of these potions of master thievery. Yes. Alright, the Soil of Speed as well, maybe this Raise Dead scroll, just so we can have some. Yeah, I'm going to leave, I think, everything else, maybe except this Potion of Explosions. Yeah, everything else doesn't really matter all that much, so I'm going to leave him be now. And now, yeah, we can rearrange some stuff. Maybe Animan can get this better sling, because I think he is going to sling more, although Jaheira has better dexterity. Anyway, we can get this nymph cloak to our bag of holding. We can keep those in our potion case. This can go to Jaheira's scroll case, and the mace can go to Animan now. Alright,
Yes, without doubt.
so now we're done here.
Quickly and precisely.
And should be, yeah, nighttime is approaching, the harlots are out and about already. And here we're going to check out a certain merchant called Fovin. And basically he just has one unique thing to purchase, actually. He's actually one of the exceptions in Baldur's Gate 2 that you cannot steal from, but there's not that much reason to. He offers some wares at a mighty fine price. Mighty fine. Alright, let's see what you have. He just has these potions of explosions. 3 of them, so I'm going to get all of them. And I think... oh yeah, I didn't steal actually that potion of explosion from Gorge, I think, because my inventory was full on Kirinai, but it doesn't really matter. Now we have these 3 potions of... oh yeah, here comes the cutscene, so the night is going to be officially started. This is actually trade meat, by the way, in this cinematic. But it works in Athkatlan as well. So now we are officially at night, 9 PM, and we are done with the docks for now. Now we need to go to the Waukeen's Promenade and check it out. there is this merchant that I mentioned before that is very, very easy to miss out on because he's only available here at night time, and you know, his position here at this map, or on this map, is just such that probably a lot of people don't even know about him, and I didn't know about him for a while. And he's called Jace, which is spelled differently, but very similar to like Jace Beleren from Magic the Gathering, I guess. Anyway, he's a pretty funny fellow, and we're going to steal from you, Jace, unfortunately. He has some stuff, like some +2 weapons, +2 longsword, which is, I think, pretty unique. But anyway, we're mostly interested in his scrolls, and his scroll case. I am actually going to purchase that scroll case. Let's give him some money. But yeah, we're interested in these scrolls. They're not too important when it comes to actually using these spells, but they are going to expand our selection. And we have earth and air, yeah. And they're going to provide us with some experience once we scribe them. Minor spell turning is useful, though. Yeah, these conjuration spells of the elementals, unfortunately, are pretty bad. Phantom Blade. And protection from acid, and I think that's it really from him. So we can just get this sorted quickly. If I stop misclicking. Alright, and here I think we're going to also go to the Fletcher shop and steal from our man here, Terter. And I'm going to steal just this one stack of arrows of dispelling, so perhaps sometime in the future we might use them sparingly here and there, but of course right now we don't even have an archer, because it also has to be said that now that we've lost Minsk, that's actually a pretty big change, because we've lost a big source of physical damage. Also, he was using Lilarcore, so he was protected against some nasty effects, and he also was able, through his versatility, to provide us with you know, some archery skills, so he could use different types of arrows, including something like arrows of dispelling. And now, actually, we don't have anyone who could even use a bow right now, and that's kind of the problem here with how we're going to do things, is that, of course, the core 5-man party is going to always leave us with that one temporary party member that we're not really going to ever like invest in. We're not going to gear up properly. We're not going to develop them too much, and you know, we're not going to have everything available to us. So, for example, you know, we don't have an archer that could provide us with the ability to fire these different types of arrows, for example. But anyway, let's go to the slums now. We have Welther here to steal from. Finally, the golden, not the golden, the silver pantaloons this time. So we're going to be able to obtain them without the reputation loss, without officially like collecting the ransom. So now we have the silver pantaloons. And also our good friend Bernard we're going to steal from. Also, this is pretty cool that you know, the game acknowledges basically what happened at the Harper Hold, and since Bernard is a friend of Jaheira, kind of, or at least an acquaintance of hers, and he's going to ask about that. It ain't true, is it? Not the way they tell it, Bernard. You know me, so trust in what I do. Good enough for me. Business as usual between you and me, then. Yeah, so Bernard is a pretty cool fellow. Actually, I am going to quick save, because there's always this 1% chance of failing pickpocketing, and I don't want to fail on Bernard. So in Bernard, he has some cool stuff that we could steal, that we won't. Also, one thing I wanted to say is this Blade of Roses, for example, also provides us with a bonus of +2 to Charisma, but I prefer to have the Nymph Cloak, because in one item the Nymph Cloak has the Charisma bonus and also a spell, that Charm Person, that we can use, whereas in our party, where we don't have a longsword user, this would just be, you know, +2 Charisma, and I would like to have that Nymph Cloak at my disposal anyway. Also, there's this Sling of Seeking, for example, that automatically generates projectiles. This Stonefire is a really good axe that you can get very, very early for Korgan. A +3 axe with +2 fire damage on it. Really good. And also, not even stealing it, but it's actually very cheap right now, so we could buy it for Korgan, but I don't think I'm going to. Azure Edge is this really nice situational anti-undead throne axe that we might get at some point. But of course we are interested in his juicy, juicy spells, man. I cannot go without stealing them. Of course, Simulacrum, dude. Of course, we're going to get that. Spell Sequencer. Oh yes, of course, give that to me. Spell Shield. Oh yes, baby. Of course we want that. Incendiary Cloud. Of course, yes, you know it. Spell Turning. Of course. And all the other ones are not that important, although still nice to have. They're pretty high level spells that are going to, at the very least, give us some experience once we scribe them. Prismatic Spray, Summon Fiend, Caco Fiend, and Chain Lightning, and we're done. Alright. So now we have some really cool spells for our next scribing session. Okay.
Yes?
And now, the
Without
next
doubt.
order of business. Oh yeah, I want to showcase two things at the Graveyard District now at nighttime.
I remember something of this place. There are soothsayers and conjurers that whisper in hushed tones about an artifact lost to antiquity, but not so lost to a perceptive maid.
So this is the first thing. Normally Edwin, after some time of being in our party, would actually inform us about his studies about a certain artifact and would like us to visit the Graveyard District, or if we just arrive here, he's going to say this. I've heard rumors and done a little reading on the subject. Many have muttered the name in frustration, the Nether Scroll. I had an intense chat with a diviner that swore it was in Athkatlan, buried among the nobles. If we could find it, or if we found it, we would be formidable indeed. The lower tombs, perhaps? So, yeah, that's his personal quest. But in SCS, to progress this quest, we would actually have to confront a proper, like, SCS high-level lich, which I'm not going to do right now. So that's the first thing that I just wanted to show. And the other is this bunch of grave robbers here, and I'm actually going to leave
All right.
Edwin in the back here.
Speak.
But, oh yeah, they're bugged, but I come prepared. So here is Stein, I guess, who like keeps on disappearing because he's kind of like spawned a little bit in the wall, I think, and we wouldn't be able to initiate a conversation with him like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove him like that, and actually I'm going to spawn him here in a different place where we actually can interact with him, and I'm not going to loot this body, this loot that he would normally have,
If that's what you
and here we can actually talk to him as usual.
Yes? Without hesitation.
What are you doing sneaking up on a fella in the middle of the bleeding night, eh? Well, that depends. What are you doing here? A little business, more like. Fools like to bury excellent valuables with the corpses. They won't miss them, you know. If I don't dig them up, someone else will. So of course, if we have Anoman in our party, there is no choice to actually letting him go. And it's always going to result in hostilities. So it's going to be him and his two buddies.
Your news. What is it?
He's going to, yeah, go invisible. So I left Edwin behind there so that we don't have to use his mirror images to protect ourselves from backstabbing. But actually in the Graveyard District you can cast arcane spells freely. The Cowled Wizards don't track the usage of arcane spells apparently in the Graveyard District. So it's not a big deal. But they only, I think, have
It is not
like,
my tastes at
oh,
all.
triple damage actually from their backstabs. But it's not a big deal. There should be one more of them somewhere further along.
Yes, yes, I see.
It is done.
He's invisible somewhere. Yeah,
You wouldn't hurt
there he is.
Yes?
Alright, so now we're done with them. They don't really have anything of interest. I think Stein has, yeah, some thrown daggers. But anyway, speaking of thrown daggers, we are actually going to finally have a little upgrade for Kirinai now. Now we're going to visit the Bridge District and conclude some business in there. So yeah, those are the things that I wanted to show in the Graveyard District. At night you have these like grave robbers. So yeah, Bridge District now. And here I'm actually not going to teleport, but actually walk, because since we are at night, there are a few spawn points where one of these confrontations between the Shadow Thieves and vampires can spawn. I'm not sure if it's not a little too early for those to happen. So there is a chance that one of them might happen. It might not, but that's why I'm going to walk here. Basically, that's my general thing when it comes to teleporting. I'm never going to do it when it would have a chance of like skipping some encounters and some content. I'm only doing it where I'm sure that I'm not skipping anything or like omitting anything. Anyway, here we're going to first explore the Delosar's Tavern, which we haven't explored before.
The seas are sure rough this time of year.
So here's Captain Dennis, and he's going to be a little rude to us, and if we are confrontational and use this conversation option, it is going to result in hostilities. But if we are, you know, nice enough, I guess, and we de-escalate here, so we're going to steer clear of them if they steer clear of us, they are not going to go hostile. And this is important because they are involved in a quest later on, which I just simply have to show, and that's the Wish quest. Captain Dennis is involved in that. So it's him and a couple of mercenaries. We're going to quick save here because we have a very important piece of loot to pickpocket from Captain Dennis over here. And some other stuff while we're at it. Here is our trusty boomerang dagger from Baldur's Gate 1 NPC project. So yeah, +2 returning thrown dagger. So finally Kiranai is going to have a nice upgrade in that department. They also have some usual stuff like bolts, but they also have potions, which I'm going to take from them, and random loot globe of invulnerability. That's actually something new, I think. Also, this Animan's scroll case is going to go to Edwin. He's going to have his own scroll case. Oh yeah, we don't need this key anymore. And now this scroll case, I guess we'll go to Animan for... I think this is going to go for some like quest notes and the Watcher's Keep notes, maybe, that kind of thing. Alright, and I think I'm going to pickpocket some of these other guys, also for their potions. Oh wow, true sight. Nice random loot there, bro. And yeah, let's not go too hardcore about it. I guess just some more potions. Yeah, some arrows that we don't care about. Alright, now we can go and explore a little bit of this inn. And downstairs there's going to be Elanda, who... This is pretty cool that she's going to acknowledge now that Vittorio is actually a different person. But, oh yeah, I was looking for this for this line of her, where she's going to actually acknowledge that the local murders in the Bridge District has, of course, that whole issue has been resolved by us, and now that is over. Also, Elanda is a character that if you have Herdalis in your party, she's going to have something else entirely to say as well, because apparently Herdalis had an affair with her, I guess, and promised her different things, and yeah, she's going to have a special dialogue with him. Also, there is plenty of like exits from Delosar's Inn, but they basically lead to nowhere, just these like useless balconies upstairs and here on the second floor and this bottom one, so it doesn't really matter too much. And also we have Kalbor, who generally is going to, in most conversation options, he's going to cut the conversation very short, saying that he doesn't have any time and for us to basically get lost. But if we ask about the war between the Thieves Guild, he's actually going to be able to provide some good insight. Yeah, this new guild sprung up as of late, spreading gold around like there's no end to it, recruiting whoever they can lay their hands on, assassins, thieves, fighters, you name it. I've even seen a couple of them recruiting here, silent-like, very sure of themselves. Seen one of them give a fella a bag full of gold too, must have been at least 1,000 pieces. This new guild ain't in it for the gold, they already got the gold, must be in for the power. So that means it's gonna come down to a fight, you see. Heard some of it started already. And that means it's gonna be bad for all of us normal folk. If you're smart, you'll keep your head out of either of them guilds, and your feet off the streets at night, because there'll be blood spilled aplenty, trust me. So I've warned you now and done my bit. And yeah, he's basically telling us to get lost. So yeah, some pretty good insight. Everything that he said is true, of course. And basically mentioned these you know, fights at night. Oh, also, we're not going to open these chests right now while they are present here, but we can open the 2 locks for some experience.
Will not take long.
And upstairs there's going to be 2 more chests
If
that
it
we can
must be
open.
done.
With some like nobles that they have some of their usual lines.
I take no pleasure in speaking to one as
Yeah,
low
actually
as
mentioning Captain Dennis
What
and
is it?
his guys.
Done.
Anyway, we can actually exit through here and just teleport ourselves
Certainly.
and to Lady Elgea, because now we can inform her that we have changed our mind and we actually decided to let her go.
Speak. It will be done.
Stand where you're at.
Yeah, madness overtook me. So she's not going to be, you know, entirely satisfied with that outcome, because, you know, we didn't free her right away. But, you know, it's still kind of like the best you can do, I guess, if you want to obtain the silver pantaloons and still remain kind of a good guy. Doesn't, of course, matter in the grand scheme of things. And the thing is that if you don't rescue her immediately, we actually get a little less experience.
Yes.
But yeah, that's basically the difference in terms of game mechanics. I guess we didn't lose our reputation. We got a little less experience, but we have our silver pantaloons. And that's pretty much it for the Bridge District for a while now. There is more to this district still, but we're not going to be back until later. And I think also this is going to be the end of this episode. So, as always, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.